I'm not your Arisu. But I am Alice. Close enough, right? You're... So you left your beloved sister behind and came home without her. Really? This is not my home. My real home is with my sister.
Okay, I like that Gretel's just not even gonna question who this guy is, why he's here at this time. And Alice is being chill as per usual. Okay.
Unless you go rescue her, she'll be trapped in that birdcage forever. I plan to let her out as soon as I get back. You make it sound so simple. But you realize it'll take courage, right? Courage? Courage and commitment to fight the demon. I feel sorry for you, Gretel. Forsaken by your parents and lured in by the temptation of sweet treats, you fell under the demon's control. But who was this demon, really? Was it the hunter who gave you candy? The older sister you obeyed? Or the part of you that wanted to eat her? How should I know? Alright then. Well, no sense in underestimating one's fight or flight response. In an emergency situation, the human body is subconsciously able to muster more strength than it's normally capable of. Maybe you'll be capable of change when the time calls for it. Change? Me? What about me could possibly need to change?
I've got like a scroll here that runs out the door and around the block with suggestions if you need any.
But that was when the hunter showed himself.
Man, you just change outfits constantly in this, don't you?
Hey there. Long time no see. Brother. Brother? First time you've ever called me that. Is this the part where I say, welcome home? Anyway, all jokes aside, I knew you would come back here. You're looking for these, right? He held up a jar full of candy. You and your sister are both so sharp. Honestly, it drives me crazy. I wanted to snatch the jar out of his hands, but I didn't have the energy. Well now, don't just stand there. Come over here. Let's chat. He led me into the dining room. I stared around the room. Where are they? Our parents. They've spent every waking moment looking for you two. He gestured for me to sit and walked to the kitchen, where he put the kettle on. Restless, I stared at the jar sitting in the center of the table. I needed to steal it away ASAP. Then I'd go back to my sister. Back to the candy house. But for some reason, my body refused to cooperate. The hell? All you have is coffee beans. I heard him cluck his tongue, so I looked up. He was rummaging through all the cupboards. Most likely he was looking for coffee grounds. He was a big coffee drinker. But my sister always ground the beans for him with her own two hands. That's not where we keep it. What was that? On top of the cupboard is a tin of coffee grounds. Sister put it up there since she doesn't use them. Huh. Oh, found it. I'm surprised you didn't know, seeing as this is your house and all. Well, I'm never here, am I? Here. My brother set a mug of coffee on the table for me in addition to his own. What's the matter? I didn't poison it or anything. You're not going to kill me. What? I'm not that kind of nut job. Huh. I don't believe that for a minute. Well, you should, damn it. That said, I admit, you're a risk factor. And if you're a danger to others, lethal force might be necessary. But it's not that simple now, is it? Isn't it? You're a hunter. Striking down prey is your job. Yeah, well, I'm not that great at my job. I'm not especially smart, nor am I adept with my hands. I didn't even want to be a hunter. I just didn't have any other ambitions. That makes no sense. If you didn't want the job, you didn't have to take it. You're not wrong, but I was born to a family of hunters. So that's why you went with it? Yep, exactly.
Also, did Alice just, like, give his speech and then, like, well, off into the night I go again. You guys enjoy your midnight coffee. Don't hack up, Gretel. I mean, maybe he did. Mysterious, very mysterious. But he's always connected to this place in some form or another.
The word railroad came to mind. This man was trapped in his own way, and I never knew. But that didn't matter right now. So what did you want to talk about? Sister's whereabouts? How's she doing? She's fine. Surprisingly fine, actually. You might be surprised, but I'm not. Are you worried about her? In a way, yeah. She is your little sister, after all. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I was worried about you, too. Same as our parents. And Wolf, too. Right. Well, the whole time I was living with her, you people didn't cross my mind for even a fraction of a second. Because we're not your family. That's right. Gretel. Yes. You've lived a hard life. You grew up without any biological family, and the only person who ever loved you was your sister Yurika. You clung to that love until it grew inside you like a tumor. Eventually you stopped acknowledging anyone who wasn't her. Sister knows best. Sister's smart. As long as I follow her, I won't be led astray. You did whatever she told you. And what's wrong with that? Where's your agency in all this, Gretel? I have plenty of agency. I'm here, aren't I? You really think that? I can't read your mind, but I'm pretty sure all those years of your sister's coddling have conditioned you to think a certain way. You lack ethics, and your morals are warped, all due to her bad influence on you. You're blaming your little sister for this. Yeah, I am. She's a moron. If anyone's a nut job, it's her. That's simply false. She's an angel, and she always puts me first. Yeah, and that's the problem. Something's wrong with you if you're still defending her at this point. Not to be harsh, but you've been brainwashed. That said, this is partly my fault too. Originally, I thought your attitude and violence were caused by your illness. I thought you'd have to eat that candy for the rest of your life. But the chemical dependence only made you worse. I realized you were overdosing on purpose to suppress yourself, but I didn't stop you. I'm the one who drove you to this point, and for that, I'm sorry.
Well, good on you, Ryoushi.
It's too late for apologies now. Yeah, it is. Because you're already addicted. And now the allure of the candy is killing you. Gretel, you've lost control of your life. Right now, the candy is in control. As is your sister.
This is such a wild thing to me, considering Considering everything we've been put through, it's a weird conversation now to have where it's like Gretel actually hasn't had agency for a long while, and my character was actually in control the entire time. It's just like, it sure didn't feel like it, but I mean, Ryoushi is right in a way. Like, we only saw a smattering of stuff from beforehand, and yeah, Gretel's agency, we didn't really have a lot of it. I'm just, man, what a journey this is. It's just, whew, I'm like, it still doesn't mean taking my agency away was right, but hey, let's just continue. Well, thank you, Gretel.
Well, right now, I'm the one in control of her. I locked her in a cage and stole her freedom. You really think that?
That is so ominous. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me.
Huh? Do you actually think you're in control of her? You don't think for a minute that maybe she's still in control of you? What are you trying to say? Back then. Back when I locked you up. Do you know why you were let out so quickly? Well, because I obeyed you. That was only part of it. It was Yurika. Your dear older sister went on a rampage.
Oh, really? Go on.
What? What are you talking about? Why do you think she stayed at home with you during your suspension? I don't know. Because she chose to. Well, think again. She was suspended just like you.
No freaking way. Okay, you know what? If it ends up being that you two, like, both Gretel and Yurika are just nutjob yanderis, they deserve each other, and I'm happy for them. I think that's actually a situation where I'd be okay with a yandere route if the MC is also a yandere, and they're just like, yeah, we're messed up and made for each other. Ding. Oh my goodness, this would be amazing. If so, let's find out.
What for? I mean, she gets perfect grades, and... Because she went around shattering all the windows, with absolutely no warning whatsoever.
Oh, in the school? Dang!
They had to pin her arms behind her back until she calmed down. Afterward, the professor asked her why she would do such a thing. And apparently, she answered that it was because she wanted to repeat the school year. After that, everyone who admired her instantly wanted nothing to do with her. No surprise there, of course. No one could understand why she wanted to repeat a year. To them, she seemed completely unhinged. But I bet you can guess why she would say that, right, Gretel? That was my dream. I always wished I could go to college and take the same classes as her.
It's our first time seeing her! From the outside! Like, as a sprite form, I mean, not just in a CG. Interesting.
So she was trying to make it come true? You're lying. No one ever told me about any of that. Yeah, because she told us not to. What the hell for? Probably because you didn't need to know about it. She set the whole family down and told us either to get you out of there, or put her in there with you. She's unwell, but she isn't crazy. And obviously we couldn't put you two in the same space, so we decided to bring you back home. She did all that to rescue me. Yup. And then I destroyed my dream with my own 2 hands. You're still too dependent on her. She has full control of you. And over time, you've lost your grip on your true self. Thanks for stating the obvious, but I know all that. Yeah? She caught me in her web, and now she torments me. She's poison. No matter how much I consume, it's never enough. Then you'll have to go cold turkey. How? How do you think? You can't just give me the answer. I'm not going to coddle you like she does. If we come home, I can just spend more time in isolation, right? It appears you're still capable of rational thought. But that said, you've really crossed the line this time. Which is probably why your sister ran away with you to begin with. You're a sheep, and she's your shepherd. For the first time in my life, I drank my coffee without sugar.
Dang, I'm gonna cold turkey everything. Drugs, love, coffee, everything.
Ugh, this coffee is nasty.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Well, excuse me, princess. What about my sister? What about her? My sister would do anything for me. Does that mean she's dependent on me, too? Is she a nutcase like me? Yeah, she is. But to be clear, her circumstances are different from yours. Well, not just you. Everyone says she's smart and competent. But to me, she's a fool. She only cares about the guy she likes. To her, everyone else is just a pawn on the chessboard. Her older brother, her parents, her friends. Could I heal her someday? Sure you could. If you ask me, it probably has to be you. Gretel, what you've done cannot be undone. But you can start over from the beginning. First, you need to learn how to control yourself without relying on candy. Get your mood swings in check, then spend time relearning proper ethics and morals. Then once you've adjusted, we can reduce your candy intake further. You have to think for yourself, Gretel. Free yourself from sugar's clutches. From there, you need to walk on your own 2 feet, without your sister constantly guiding you.
Dang. Well, I guess it's time to burn the witch. Into the oven I go. I was wondering when that oven was going to come into play, because they've mentioned this little stovetop several times, and I was starting to think, maybe in one of these bad endings, Gretel's just like, I'm shoving your face in the oven, dear sister. But maybe I'm just gonna get it now. Okay, real talk though, I'm proud of Gretel. I'm proud of both Gretel and Ryoushi. I'm proud though that Gretel, despite having just taken a huge amount of drugs right before talking to Ryoushi, still had the wherewithal to realize the truth in Ryoshi's words, and that he was willing to take the hand of help, despite the fact that Ryoushi had done him bad in the past. I think that's very admirable of him. And if he can actually turn himself around and help our crazy lady at the same time, that'd be something special. I'm cautiously optimistic going forward. I mean, I'm burning alive right now, but I'm cautiously optimistic going forward. Alright, let's find out. I awoke to a loud crackling sound and a peculiar burnt smell. Is that me? Smoke poured in through the gaps in the walls. Finally. That took forever. Right about now, fire was probably spewing out of the top of the chimney outside. This was a chimney fire, caused by creosote igniting inside the chimney pipe. As the chimney burned, it would ignite the surrounding walls until the whole cabin was on fire, roasting me alive. Good. Gretel wasn't here. Nor was anyone else who could save me like Red Riding Hood. All my preparations were in place. Gretel. Leaning against the bars, I reflected on the past. After he had his first violent outburst at school, I went and had one of my own. The idea came to me in the middle of a lecture. I thought to myself, why am I just sitting around while the person I love is suffering? I contemplated how I could free him from the bird cage. I thought long and hard about how to bring him home again. And then it hit me. The sound effect! If he's crazy, then I'll be crazy too. So I grabbed a chair, walked over to the windows, and smashed them, as if it was the most ordinary thing in the world. Of course, I made sure no one nearby would get hurt from the glass shards. Silly, isn't it? I was crazy, and yet I somehow had the mental capacity to take other people into consideration. When my parents came to get me, I told them, I want you to choose. Either get him out of there or put me in there with him. Sure enough, just as planned, they demoted him from quarantine to merely a stay-at-home suspension, and I received a suspension of my own. Of course, I never told him about any of this. After all, I knew it would only make him sad. Ryoushi really tore me a new one over it. The memory of his white-hot fury made me laugh. He went on and on about what a fool I was. Demo shoganai. After what I did, Wolf was the only friend I had left. No surprise there, of course. Who'd want to be friends with a nutjob who went around smashing windows with a chair? I didn't mind. After all, the pain of losing my friends was nothing compared to the pain of being apart from my beloved. In the past, I had told Wolf that from Gretel's perspective, I was essentially his whole world. But the reverse applied to me too. Gretel was my everything. We weren't really brother and sister. But after spending time in the same living environment, the two of us had come to resemble one another. But now it's all over. After all, I had regained my memories. I'm the one in control of him. And if I'm the wicked witch tying him down, then I'll throw myself into the fires of hell. Perhaps I was caught somewhere between sister and witch, sanity and madness. Dang. And so, Gretel set off into the forest to retrieve his sister. It was a deep, deep forest, but there was no cause for concern. After all, the bright red flame served as a guiding light all the way back to the candy house.
Free myself from Sugar's clutches and walk on my own 2 feet, without Sister constantly guiding me. Think for myself instead of blindly following orders. After I parted ways with Mr. Hunter, I headed back to the candy house where my sister was waiting. I had promised myself I would get the candy, but in the end, all I got was a lecture. I'm so stupid. Surely I could have simply taken the candy from him by force. Perhaps all the candy had numbed me to my anger. Or did I simply not wish to cause him any harm? Deep down, do I think of him as my brother? That can't be it. I couldn't possibly feel that way. To me, my sister was my whole world. She was the only connection I had, my most precious treasure. As long as I had her, I didn't need anything else. Or so I told myself. She was the only thing keeping me tied to this world. Why would I possibly care about the rest of the family? What is it that I actually want? Currently, I was on my way back to the candy house, but what then? Would we keep living there? Could we keep living there? I had already eaten all of my candy. Without it, I couldn't be sure I could hold myself back. I might tarnish my only treasure with my own 2 hands. What am I doing? I was the one who insisted I didn't want her. I put her in that cage. Then I left her there and went off to fetch more candy. Sister. I was terrified. The more I thought about it, the more my limbs started to shake. If we kept living together, I would live in fear, knowing I might pounce on her at any time. But I was the only one who could unlock her cage. If I left her locked up in there, would it stop me from feasting on her? Could I sit and wait patiently for my food, like a dog? Wait. Suddenly, I spotted a bright light in the distance, but it was far too early for the sun to rise. Squinting through the darkness, I realized I was looking at a fire. My blood ran cold. I took off running in the direction of the candy house. On the way, however, I bumped into someone I wasn't expecting. Gretel! Red Riding Hood! Oh, thank God! I was looking for you! You were? You have to hurry back to the house! Your sister's trapped in there! As he spoke, he pointed at the burning cabin. I know! But as I tried to jog past him, he grabbed me by the arm to stop me. Wait! Your sister asked me to give you this! But that's... It was the green ribbon. This ribbon wasn't a tool I acquired through the wizard. It was a surprise present I had quietly bought for my sister. With this, I understood everything. My sister had caused this fire on purpose. She was prepared to die for me.
I mean, she told you she was. When you asked her, she said she'd die for you. The smoke stung my eyes until they welled with tears. I was lying flat on my stomach, trying to avoid breathing the smoke. But the oxygen was running out, and the fire was quickly closing in. Once it ignited, it had wasted no time spreading through the house. Judging from the heat and the density of the smoke, I only had a few minutes until the fire reached the cage. Or maybe I would die of carbon monoxide poisoning first. On second thought, maybe that would be a more preferable death. After all, I would be unconscious by the time the fire got to me. I wanted to pass away quietly while thinking of him. In my hazy mind, I wondered to myself, had Red Riding Hood met up with Gretel? Had he given him the ribbon? The reason I had entrusted that ribbon to Red, why I wanted Gretel to have it, was simply because Gretel was my only regret. I had severed so many connections. He was the only one I had left. My love for him was my dearest treasure. He was the only thing keeping me tied to this world. I wish you could have gone to college with me, Gretel. Just then,
Sister!
He dashed over to the birdcage. Gretel! I grasped the metal bars with both hands and pulled myself close to him. By the way, metal bars? That would be hot with the fire around you. You would not be just grasping that nonchalantly.
Wait right there! I'm going to get you out of here!
As he spoke, he jammed the key into the lock. You're going to let me out?
Damn right I am! I'm not going to let you die in here!
I could hear him struggling with the lock.
Damn it! It won't open! Why?
The key wouldn't turn. Maybe the lock had melted in the heat. Gretel. I reached through the bars and touched his hand. This was my way of letting him know I had accepted my fate. I'm the one tying you down. You'll be better off without me. He froze. Then he gritted his teeth and glared at me.
I knew it. You caused this fire, didn't you?
Yep.
He was right about you. You're insane!
So do you. And you have to defeat the Wicked Witch. I shot him a wink. Girl is so chaotic.
Otherwise, you'll gobble me up.
I'll roast you alive and swallow you whole. I licked my lips. Holy... Phew. Gretel, you're always suffering because of me. You had a violent outburst and destroyed your dream, all because of me. I know just how hard you've been working. I've been watching you all this time. I loved seeing you devote yourself to your passions. I wanted to do whatever I could for you. But it backfired, and as a result, I ended up hurting you. I'm sorry you had to get hurt because of me.
No, it wasn't your fault.
Gretel stared at the floor and shook his head. Oh, Gretel, you're such a sweetheart. No matter what anyone else says, you'll always be the perfect guy for me. That's why I wanted to make your dream come true. I wanted to go to college with you, take the same classes with you. We could have had a fairy tale ending. Your dream was my dream. But it's time you were freed from the Wicked Witch who chained you down. You can still follow your dreams without me. You'll sparkle, I just know it. But as long as I'm around, you won't realize that. And as long as I'm around, I'll eventually consume you.
There you go, coddling me again.
I'm your witch, after all.
The very wickedest.
Yep. I'm a wicked witch, and you look like my next meal.
Sister.
Gretel, you've always been so appetizing to me. I love you so much. More than I can express. I want to touch you, and I want you to touch me. But if you want me to stay your sister, then I'll give up on ever finding the treasure of my dreams. After all, if I'm forced to choose between you or my treasure, then I'll cast my love into the fire. That way I can be your sister instead. I'll be your treasure. Just then, the fire closed in on us.
The flames.
Gretel, you have to run.
Never!
Think about it. If you stay here, we'll both die. You have to leave me here. You have to live, Gretel.
I know, but I can't just leave you here.
Will you forsake your dearest treasure? Ugh, good grief. I can't, because then that means I'm gonna burn alive, so... No? I guess? Well, I'm probably gonna find out very quickly if I burn to death or not, but the way I read that, hopefully I understood correctly, is that her greatest treasure is her love for him, and his greatest treasure is her being his sister. So she gave up her treasure to become his treasure. She'd have to be his sister, which means throwing her treasure into the fire, burning herself alive so she can stay his sister and not turn into the wicked witch that wants to eat him smexually. Yes. I think I got it. No. How did you fit your head through there? If you can... I mean, if you can fit your head through there, surely I should be able to fit my head through and the rest of my body? The head's like the hardest part.
No! I refuse to sit around and wait to die!
Then you have to abandon me.
I won't do that either!
Gretel!
Instead, I've decided to sacrifice my treasure.
He smiled sadly.
Honestly, it was silly anyway. I always wished I could go to university with you, but all I would have had to do was pass my exams and graduate community college. Instead, I was greedy. I wanted to be in the same year as you. So what I really wanted was for everyone to see us not as siblings, but as longtime friends. And as lovers. I was never going to be able to keep up the brothers' charade forever. Your charm is far too irresistible for your precious baby brother. I've always lusted after you. I longed to kiss you and have sex with you.
Dang. Having confession time in the fires of hell here. Do you still feel that way?
I do. At any given hour of the day. I'm a young guy in my prime, are you kidding me?
This conversation is so ridiculous. Okay. Gonna snap back into it.
But we can't kiss or have sex unless we survive this. Sister, if you're going to burn, let it be with passion for me. Kindle my desire, not the stove.
So you don't mind if you get burned?
Not at all. In exchange, I'll have my fill of you. I'll have you know I've been very hungry for a very long time. You'd best prepare yourself.
So you don't mind if I consume you?
Better than starving to death.
Even if it means I'll stop being your sister?
Even then.
Even if I'm not your glittering jewel anymore?
I don't mind. Even if you turn into some worthless pebble, you'll be the pebble that guides me home.
If we go back home, they'll tear us apart, you know.
I don't care.
You might end up alone, with no connections of your own.
Even then, it's still preferable to the pain of losing you, Yurika.
He smiled sheepishly. Gretel.
Back then, I vowed I was going to cuddle you. With you, I don't need any stupid candy. No matter the bitter pill, I'll prove I can swallow it. Now let's go home. Together.
Maybe he was just putting himself on a diet. Without an incredible amount of courage, he couldn't possibly have forsaken the very treasure he fought so hard to protect. And yet here he was, willing to do it for my sake. It all meant so much to me. Tears welled in my eyes as I shouted, "Yeah, let's go home! I want to stay with you!" Just then, with a click, the lock fell to the floor. Thank you, Mr. Wizard.
The lock!
Gretel opened the cage door and extended a hand to me.
Here! Give me your hand!
Right! I took his hand in mine, and together we escaped the cage.